also like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, personally, truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akims scattered through the four corners of the globe, personally, truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, personal word, truthfully and sincerely. And I say shalom to you, Akim, out there. And as you see, this is a developing story. As I was mentioning, in my previous videos, you're going to see a continuing cross-border clashes between the IDF of Israeli and over there in Syria, cross-border conflict between the Israelis, the IDF. They're going to continue their missile strikes over there in Syria, Damascus of Syria. Now you got a developing story right here. Now this is recently, and this is from September the 16th, 2022, of RT.com, of world news, alternative news around the world. And a highlight of this news article, and it reads, Israel strikes Damascus again, the Syrian media reports. It says multiple missiles reported targeting Damascus airport in the south area, in the areas of south of the capital. And it says at least 5 Syrian service members have been killed in an Israeli aggression. And after night on Saturday, a state news agency sent a report citing a military source. And it says at approximately 0.45 a.m. in the morning, the Israeli enemy carried out an air aggression with rockets from the northeastern direction of the Lake Tabaris, Sea of Galilee, targeting Damascus International Airport, and some point south of Damascus. A source told SANA, acknowledging the deaths of at least 5 military personnel and some material losses on the ground. So yeah, and and it goes. The reason why they've been continually doing these airstrikes over there in the Syrian capital, which is over there in Damascus of Syria, because you got military facilities and departments, and you got military organization groups, which is formed by Iran, military ally of Iran, military-backed Iran ally groups over there. So that shows you the continuing increase between Israel and Iran, so these tensions are definitely going to stir up between the two of those nations. That's why they're seeing continuing airstrikes over there from the Israeli military aggression, sending airstrikes over there in those facilities that's stationed over there, and they targeting airports. And reading the report of this developing story, you have like 5 service members of Syrian service members were killed, and then most of the material damages over there near the Syrian Damascus airport was damaged as well too. So these things are definitely going to continue to increase. So as I mentioned before, as I've been doing consistently videos and sit down lessons, even though it might sound repetitive or whatever, bringing out reports and rumors of wars, but hey, these things are definitely been increasing. As the scripture has stated, in the words of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Shai, say these things are going to constantly, consistently happen. It's definitely going to increase. And the nation is going to continue to rise up against one another, and different kingdoms are going to continue to increase against each other, one another as well too. As I bring it up once again, and this is the book of Matthew. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring up that Luke 21:9 first. I'm going to have it as a reference. If I bring it out as reference, maybe if a reference scripture can follow along right with it as well too. And this is the book of Salaki. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9, in the Holy Scriptures, and it reads, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by." Right, because we seeing these increases of proxy wars, endless proxy wars between the nations and different kingdoms as well too. That's why you're seeing a lot of tensions over there in the Middle East, which, we so are used to and accustomed of hearing these things increasingly over there in the Middle East, but it's starting to increase more and more and more as that developing story that just came out. Now I'm doing a lesson on it about, the IDF, the Israeli aggression continues to fire their missiles over there in Syria, Damascus of Syria, the northeastern region and the northern south region over there in Syria. So these things are definitely going to continue to increase as you see the tensions increasing now more than ever between Iran and Israel. Israel, the IDF military soldiers, still to this day. That's why he's seeing cross-border clashes between the nations. And the latest airstrike from the Syrian, the Israeli aggression killed about 5 Syrian service soldier members, and it caused some damages near the Syrian Damascus airport over there in the Middle East. So you're going to have these non-stop continuing clashes and proxy wars and commotions of wars and rumors of wars, and nations rising up against nations. Is going to further and continue to increasing now more than ever, and this is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 7 through verse 8, and verse 7 in the book of Mark in the Holy Scriptures, and it reads, "And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for these things must need be, but the end is not yet. The end shall not be yet." I meant to say Salaki, right? Because the end is not yet. Because we're going to see these things increase more than ever. But we're getting closer and closer, slowly but surely, more closer. In Revelations 11 and 14, second one is past, behold, the third one coming quickly. We're seeing these signs increasing more and more than ever. And I'm going to go to verse 8. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 8. "For nations shall rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdoms, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places." These are the beginning of sorrows, right? Because we are in the beginning stages of sorrows, because there's a lot of more that's coming, in the latter days, upwars of people in the world, commotions of wars, famine, pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places, and many other different things. But this main focus, these nations are rising up against one another. Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, city against city, kingdom against kingdom, nations against nations, and that's what we're seeing. These things are increasing now more than ever. And these things are going to continue to build up, So expect to see that cross-border clashes between the Israeli aggression soldiers continue to firing off missiles in that region over there near Damascus, because you got a lot of Iranian military allied back groups in that region over there, So that's why Israel been constantly consistent and they being targeted over there with those airstrikes, those military airstrikes over there Damascus over there in Syria. It's going to continue to increase, because Israel and Iran, they can't stand one another. They are allies, That's prime examples. That's just like an example of the Israelis and the Palestinians can't stand one another. That's the same thing that it is. Iran cannot get along with Israel. That's not just gonna happen. That's why you're gonna have continuing proxy wars, commotions of wars against one another, and it's gonna continue to increase. Yep. So with that, this was just as a in the news lesson of this developing story of what Israel did to Israel sending airstrikes over there in Damascus once again, over there in the Syrian region, the southeastern or southwestern part over there in that region, as Israelis' aggression, firing off rocket launchers. And I believe, as I was reading through the article of this developing story, like 5 people have got killed so far and caused some significant damages to the Syrian airport over there in Damascus. So these things are definitely going to increase and intensify in the latter days as we see these things start to increase, as these things continues to plays out. As it is written in the Holy Scriptures, you're going to see these things take effect on the planet Earth, and that's what we're seeing. Now it's taking effect. Now we're seeing these things right before our eyes, because you're going to see the increase and intensify of the nations rising up against nations and kingdom against different kingdoms. As we getting approach closer and closer to that Revelations 11:14. Second woe is past, behold, the third woe coming quickly. So these things are definitely going to increase and intensify between the nations and different kingdoms. Proxy wars, class wars, race wars, all types of different things. So it's going to increase more and more and more. And so with that, once again, I hope this outside sit-down lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Ba'akadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered in the 4 corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I'm going to say shalom and a ball.